Hey there, it's Vashti Sarah. Welcome back to Post Blog. If this is your first time listening, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons to stay connected with the Post Blog podcast. And for those of you who this is not your first time, welcome back. Hey y'all, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you're having a great Wednesday or whatever day you're listening to this. I hope you're having a great day and you can find something to be thankful for. So, the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about all my friends are blah, blah, blah. What now? Today, I wanted to take a unique approach to this topic and address all my friends are having children. What now? And this is specifically geared to those who are married and who are who don't have kids yet. I hope this episode encourages you. And for those of you who do have children and are married, or you have children, I hope that this episode challenges you and gives you a new perspective on how you approach your married friends who do not have children. So, Jared and I have been married for going on 2 years now, and probably a month in, we started getting the question, are you pregnant? Are you going to have children? Are you pregnant? Are you going to have kids? When are you going to get pregnant? When are you guys going to start having children? And the list goes on. And granted, it's all, meant from a wonderful heart. People are excited for you to enter a new phase of life. And that's the theme for the past 2 episodes, was moving too fast and having that pressure to move on to the next phase of life. So we got pressured, and we're still getting pressured quite a bit to have children and to procreate and multiply the earth and to have little baby Pisers running around. And while Jared and I are excited for that time whenever it comes, it's been a little bit discouraging. And especially looking at other friends who have been married for a while and don't have children, and knowing what they're going through, the difficulty of getting pregnant, and seeing them get pressured with that question. Now, Jared and I aren't trying, but it makes me a little bit more compassionate now that I'm in this season of life, because I do remember, questioning my married friends, when are you guys going to get pregnant? And that's because I was excited. I was excited to see their family grow, and I was excited for them. And that's a lot of people. We're just excited for friends, especially newly married friends. However, that question can trigger harsh emotions for many, many women and men too, but many women, it can trigger very harsh emotions. And now whenever I'm approached with, are you pregnant yet? Or when are you going to get pregnant? Or when are you going to have children? I kind of cringe, because I know for me, it places an unnecessary pressure to get to the next phase of adulthood. But then it also makes me cringe, because I think, how many of you or how many of us are asking this question to married couples that have been trying for years? Or it could be they're newly married and they're ready to expand their family, and they started trying and they haven't gotten pregnant. So a group of friends and I, backstory, we're hanging out a couple months ago, or maybe a couple weeks ago, and one of the friends in that group, was a girls' night. We're having a game night, and one of the girls in that friend group just had her baby probably a couple weeks ago. And, all of us are oohing and awing over her cute baby boy. And the topic, obviously, of children came up. And I think most of us in that friend group are married, and maybe there's one single one in there. But most of us are married, and most of us don't have kids except for 2. And the two was the one that just had her son. So obviously the topic of children came up, and, we're all, laughing and talking. And I was quiet. I was genuinely just eating and listening, because I love to hear people's heart. I love to hear what's on people's mind. From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Anyway, so I was quiet the whole time. I had food in my mouth, just listening, enjoying the conversation and people talking about when they're planning to have kids and whatnot. And then I was approached with a question from one of the girls in the group. And she said, Vashti, are you interested in having children? And I paused for a moment. It caught me off guard and I almost choked on the chips and guac that I was eating, to be honest. But it caught me off guard. Not the question, but how the question was phrased. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I didn't cringe for the first time. I didn't cringe at that question. Why? Because of how she phrased it. Are you interested in having children? She didn't assume that I wanted children, but she took it from a gentle approach. I don't know if you guys have been trying. I don't know if this is a harsh topic for you. I don't know if you're unable to have children. So I'm going to ask you, are you interested in having children? And I talked to her a little bit more that night. And I told her I really appreciated how she approached that question rather than saying when, because with the word when, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. That's the only word I can think of to expand your family. And it makes you overwhelmed. It makes you feel like, you're behind in life. It makes you feel like you're not meeting up to the world's expectation. When are you having children? But rather, are you interested in having children? And I told her, yeah, Jared and I are very interested in growing our family. We're just not in the right time, at least. And, if we do get pregnant today, we won't get angry. That's the Lord's timing and that's his will, but we're not actively trying. And we kind of want to wait a couple of years. We're 2 years in. We genuinely want to wait 3 more years before we start growing our family. But I appreciated her approach. Are you interested in having children? And she told me, she in a nutshell, she revealed that, one of her family members was bombarded over and over with, when are you going to have children? By parents, grandparents, siblings, friends. And yes, the question, everyone genuinely means well by that question. But what they didn't know is that question was triggering a harsh reality for that girl and her husband. Because they've been trying to have kids for years and she hasn't been able to conceive. And that's the reality for a lot of women. Either they've been trying for years or they've been trying right after they got married and they haven't been able to conceive. That word when has a lot of pain in it. And we don't realize that people are hurting, women are hurting, men are hurting too. Because they're longing to conceive. And when also somehow it conveys some type of judgment because you're not procreating yet. You don't have children yet. And I've been convicted. There's so many times I've asked that question. When are you having kids? When are you going to blah, blah, blah? And again, intentions are pure, but we have no clue what's happening behind closed doors. We don't realize that question hurts a lot of women who have had miscarriages, women who haven't been able to get pregnant either because of genetics or medical conditions. We don't know the story that woman and man is holding. We don't know that story that's been a part of their life, a part of their reality, that when we ask that question, we pressure and open deep pain. So I want to challenge you in this episode to, one, either refrain from asking that question to married couples, whether it be they're just married or married for a long time. Refrain from asking that question entirely, or phrase it with, are you interested? Because at least it doesn't give that pressure to that person. At least it doesn't initiate guilt because they haven't had children yet. We have to be accountable for the words that we speak. And granted, a lot of us don't know what people are struggling with behind closed doors, but especially when it comes to having children, take that topic with a lot of mercy and grace in the way we approach it. And for those of you who are newly married or married and you genuinely don't want to have children yet, when people are asking the question, don't get angry, don't get upset. And that's hard to say don't, but try your best not to, because people do mean well and they want to see you and your family grow. But at the same time, don't feel pressured. Don't have children because everyone else is having children. That's a horrible reason to have a child. When you and your spouse make love to each other and you are praying to have a child, to conceive, it should be from a good heart. Your reason to get pregnant should never be to keep your marriage. If it's to keep your marriage, that's it. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to work out. To keep your marriage secure and alive, y'all need to go to counseling. Y'all need to seek external health and figure that out before you add a baby into the mix. But if you're trying to have kids just to keep your marriage secure or to fill a deeper void because you're lonely because everyone else is having children, again, that's a poor reason to expand your family, because you're using your child as a tool. You're using your child as an asset or as an accessory, sorry. And you're saying, hey, look at me. I'm a part of the crowd. I fit in now. No. Like every other episode like the past couple episodes we've been talking about, don't rush to the next season of life because everyone else is there. Childbearing, having children is not a race. You don't get an award because you have a child. You don't get a reward of first place because you're the first one in your friend group to have a child. But rather, having a child is a blessing. There's so much responsibility to it, and we shouldn't take it lightly. But overall, I want to challenge you who have been pressuring your friends or your family to have children to take it down a notch. Approach the topic of childbearing with sensitivity. Newly married couples do not need to be pressured to move on to the next phase of life. Just let the Lord do what He's doing in their life. Couples who have been married for years do not need to feel guilt and shame because they're not parents yet. You don't know their story. Instead, pray for them. If you genuinely want to see their family grow, pray for them. Simple. Pray that the Lord will do what He needs to do in their life. Pray that the Lord will do what He needs to do in their life if He needs to work a miracle. But also ask them, are you interested in having children? You'd be surprised. They'll say, actually, no, I'm not. I want to adopt. That's what we're working on. So if you can pray for us for that door to open, that'd be awesome. You'd be surprised if you asked the question, are you interested in having children? What the response would be. Don't feel pressured to move forward to the next phase of life. Don't feel pressured to rush what God's doing. Don't feel pressured. And don't pressure your friends. Don't pressure your family members. Again, desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. Proverbs 19:2. If we are rushing to the next phase of life without knowing what we're getting ourselves into, it's not good. It'll be messy. It'll be miserable. And that's outside of people who got pregnant without trying and, oops, we got pregnant. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who are genuinely trying to get pregnant to fit a mold, to be a part of the in group. Desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. We miss what the Lord is doing right in front of us. That newly phase of marriage life is so important, and we've heard it. Jared and I have heard it time and time again from our older married friends. Don't rush this season. Some of our older married friends, they don't even ask us when we're going to have children. They genuinely just remove that question out of their language. And every time we see them, it's, how are you doing? How's life? Are you guys traveling? Enjoy the season that you're in. Because once children come, it's a completely different ball game. Yes, it's a great ball game, but it's a different ball game. So enjoy where you're at. And that's my encouragement to you who's newly married. Enjoy the season that you're in. You only get it once. And then once you have children, you're going to be in a whole different phase of life, which I'm sure is beautiful, and I'm excited for it. I've always wanted to be a mom, but I know just not yet. And for those of you who are pressuring your friends, just, like I said, tone it down. Bring it back. Watch what you're questioning your friends. Watch how you're approaching that question. Because you don't know people's story. You don't know what they're going through at home. You don't know the tears that they've cried, begging God to open up their womb. So that's pretty much today's episode. All my friends are having children. What now? That what now should be you are enjoying the season that you're in, or you are rephrasing the question that you're asking. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining me on Post Blog. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like button, follow button, share button, all the buttons. Stay connected with the Post Blog podcast. Same time, same place next week. I love y'all. But remember, God loves you most.